And we should be live. Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Let's see what we got going on here. So we've got a lot of Emmys today, as usual, to talk about. Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. See who has arrived. Looks like nobody's here yet. What's going on here? Anyway, so we've got a lot of Emmys today, as usual, to talk about. Looks like I've got a problem with my audio. Let me kill that one. All right, that should help. Let's get down to business. Heart's Truth is the first one. Charles Villarreal, a.k.a. Big Bird, the One Operator. Trying to get that name long enough. Okay. God, I hear something. Let me just put on my headphones and see what that sound is. Oh, looks like we have feedback. Let me kill this one. There we go. That should fix it. Technical difficulties. Okay, hopefully you're not hearing any extra sound now. I think it's safe to put desktop audio back on. There we go. All right, let's see who else is here. Helen Wary, Carolyn Thrynen, Delphus Wrights, T-Box. Let's see. All right, so welcome everyone. As usual, we have a lot of Emmys. Okay, this is the first one. Let me just get this set up here. All right, this is only kind of an Emmy, but I thought it was very interesting. New super volcano is brewing under Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire. So Yellowstone was the first I'd ever heard of, the super volcanoes. And now apparently we have it under Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire. So this one's kind of interesting because of the way they're basically saying magma is flowing underneath there, and it hasn't like popped out yet, and it might be millions of years. But what's interesting about this is they're saying our study challenges the established notion of how the continents on which we live behave. It challenges the textbook concepts taught in introductory geology classes. The region is geologically stable. There are no active volcanoes. So the massive magma buildup must be a relatively recent event, but then they're saying that's tens of millions of years. But what's interesting is this, they're already going up, time to start throwing out the textbooks. I think we're going to find that just about everything we ever learned is going to be debunked at the rate they're going. I mean, they used to say like 50% of everything that you learned would later turn out to be false. But the way we're going, it looks like it's going to be about 99%. All right, this is a bad sign. My throat's already scratchy. All right, you're going to have to bear with me here. All right, the next one. This one's an Emmy for me. I don't think I've discussed this one on YouTube before, but there's a lot of weird things about Egypt. But here's one, is I remember there only being one kind of writing in Egypt. Excuse me. And that writing was hieroglyphics. But I noticed this maybe 6 months ago. There are now multiple kinds of writing. And they used to say that only the wealthy scribes and the priests could do the hieroglyphics. And they're still saying that. But they're also saying that all the regular people had this other style of writing, which is cursive writing, and they're calling it hieratic. I think there's also one that they said is called demotic. So it developed alongside cursive hieroglyphs, to which it is distinctly related. It is primarily written in ink with a reed brush on papyrus, allowing scribes to write quickly without resorting to the time-consuming hieroglyphics. So they're basically saying the hieroglyphs was mostly just for artistic things, and they usually use the hieratic. So that's a huge change for me. Ah, Cupie, you were late to the party. Are you just trying to make Mandela Affected look bad? Let's see. I always expect Cupie to be there. If you ever aren't there, everybody's going to worry. All right. Yeah, just one. Hieroglyphics, exactly. Helen's got it. So anyways, again, we just have more tech earlier in time. In this case, just writing. All right, this is kind of a personal one, and if you don't live near coyotes, you might not notice, but where I live in Southern California, we're a little bit rural, and for many years, I would hear coyotes yipping and yowling at night occasionally, you know, like once a week or twice a week. Interestingly, I haven't heard them in quite some time, and then I heard them last night, and I was confused because I wasn't sure it was them. I mean, I'm used to their sound, but they sounded different. They used to howl more and just yip a little. And they are, you know, high yippy kind of a howl, but they sound more like hyenas last night. And I went out there and I'm like, is that coyotes? Here is a audio of some coyotes that sounded very similar to the ones I heard. So I'm going to play this audio. I'm pretty sure I have it set so you can hear it. All right, so that's probably enough of that. But yeah, they just didn't sound as howly. I mean, they've always been high pitched. Sometimes they would yip, but they just sounded really weird last night. I really actually had a hard time being sure it was them. But I guess that's what they sound like now. I mean, there's still some video online of them sounding more like I remember, but I've just never heard that hyena sound before. They really sounded like hyenas. Anyway, so on to the next one. Yep, so I don't know. I guess in this timeline they're just more weird, but okay, so anyways, we've been talking before about a lot of different animals just becoming pets and more friendly towards humans than they used to. And alligators is a big one for me. I think I talked a little bit about this last week, but I saw this video. In my old timeline, they pretty much would bite anything nearby. In this timeline, apparently they can be tamed down a fair lot. So this guy here is feeding these gators. He just puts his hand on their nose and they pop up their mouth and then he sticks food in. Now it's very clear these are huge gators and they could just lunge. She's only like 6 inches away. They could totally just chow down on this guy. So there's just been so many videos like this now. It's just fishy. Okay, next one. Oops, you could see what I was looking at recently. All right. I've been kind of looking at Giza ones. There's been some changes. Let me pull that one up before I go crazy. Sphinx. All right. Right, this is kind of a good one. The ears are looking a little different to me now. The ears were really flat against the headdress. Of course, originally there were no ears, but then recently they were very flat against the headdress. They're starting to stick. They were like this before, flat against the headdress, and now they're starting to lay back more. So it's like the headdress is getting pushed back. It used to really cover. Let me see if I can find a good image of it. Gosh, I had a whole bunch up here earlier, but now this one might show it a little bit. Not very well, though. This one kind of shows it. So the ears are starting to lay back here. I'm going to have to go to my indicator Emmys. I pulled some out earlier. Kind of out of it today. Sorry about that. Shoot, I thought I had one. All right, I'm going to pull this one out because this is another one. This thing used to come down more. It suddenly stops here. I don't know, this little point. There's a big chisel out of the ear here that wasn't there before. A whole lot of the lip's missing. And what is this thing above his lip? I mean, is that whole thing going to be his giant nose now? Anyway, so this big slice across here is new. Also, another thing I'm seeing here is these lines used to go straight across. But now it looks like up here they're radiating more upwards across, up away from his ear there. They're not totally lined up. So that's kind of a weird one too. So actually there hasn't been a ton of changes except for a little bit on here. The Washington of the Mount Rushmore, his hair a little bit more organized. I actually haven't seen a ton of changes since last week. Okay, here's one I was looking at. One thing I've really noticed about the Sphinxes just today when I'm looking at is you can always see a big pyramid behind the Sphinx now. And I don't remember it just a few months ago always seeing the pyramid. The Sphinx was close, but I think it's gotten closer. So here is a map, and you can see right here, the Sphinx is right here, and then the pyramids. Now, this map is interesting for a number of reasons. One of them is the names they're giving to these pyramids. The pyramids of Mycerinus, Pyramid of Mycerinus. I've never heard of Pyramid of Mycerinus, but apparently that's now another name for the Pyramid of Menkaure. Pyramid of Chephren. I've never heard that before. But now that's another word for Pyramid of Khafre. And Pyramid of Cheops was pyramid is another word for Pyramid of Khufu. And I've just never heard all three of these. I have not heard of. You can see here the Sphinx, the causeway. This goes all the way to the Pyramid of Chephren is what they're calling it here. There's 3 little pyramids here and 3 little pyramids there. A lot of people have talking about, oh, there's 3 pyramids on the side. They don't remember. There's actually 6. When they say the Queen's pyramids, there's one batch of Queen pyramids over here and another batch right here. That's an older ME, but I wanted to kind of clarify that because not a lot of people realize that there's 2 batches of those, and there have been for some time. And weirdly, they call them all the Queen's pyramids, even though they're separated by quite a bit. So that one's an interesting one. Back to the mountain here. Lincoln is getting a little, I think his hair is starting to grow in right here. This was very rock-like before, and now it's smoothing out. I think we're going to start to see hair right in here now. Last I checked, the hair was to right here. This smooth line's gone out a little bit more. And this thing on the side of the head is still, it's a little darker. And now there's this little divot up here on the top. That is also new. I do not know what that is going to be. But again, it's still looking kind of gun-like. Sometimes on some of the image, these lines here kind of look like that, the part of the gun that that spins. So, I don't know. I mean, is this going to be the little end of it or something? So, still watching that one. Let's see. I think Washington's come out a little bit more still. This one here, he's starting to point more with Washington. I remember this head pointing more that way. Like each one of these was pointing a different way. Now he's turning. So I think that one has changed a little bit. I think that covers most of the changes. I haven't seen too much in Shiva CERN. See, look, his head, I think, is now separated almost all the way down to here. So that's a bit of a change. I haven't seen too much in here. The only thing I've really noticed here is this was completely red speckles before. And now it looks like it's starting to get a kind of a pattern in it. And somebody else said it was tapestries, and I'm seeing that in some of the other images this is depicted as tapestries. Before, this was like spaces, like doors, and these were pillars, but now these, I guess, are tapestries. So for a long time we were calling these doors, so I guess they're not anymore. They're not doors. I think that's the last one of those. So anyway, I just wanted to shoot through the indicators. Hopefully you guys aren't getting too bad a stream. All right, so the signal apparently was bad for a bit, but it looks like it's okay now. So if I froze for you guys, that might be why. Headdress starting to look like elephant ears. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, let's go back to where we were. There's the old map. Oh yeah, I wanted to find some. This one kind of shows it here. The other thing is this little cutout here has gotten a little bit larger and more intense than I remember, but it's kind of subtle. And this line here has gotten longer. I keep waiting to see what's going to happen with this cutout under the ear. There's not a lot of info on it yet. No, I had a really nice image pulled. Oh, this one's pretty good. You can see how the ear is much more visible from the side now. Used to be you'd pretty much only see it from the front. But now look. It's like the headdress is actually further back now than it used to be. I think the headdress used to be more like here, and the ear was flat, and now it's pushed back a lot more behind the ear. So there's that change. Yeah, the Last Supper had pillars, then spaces between the pillars painted in black or very dark. They were not supposed to be tapestry. Yep, in this timeline, though, they're tapestry, because I saw a couple other depictions of the Last Supper, and in those, the tapestry is very clear. I'll check it out here real quick. I better find it, because I'm going to be mad if I can't find those now. Here, like this one. Ugh, not the really world-class one, but you can see the tapestries behind them now. And as I mentioned, here's another one. You can very much see, what the heck is this one? That one's a weird one. Must be some kind of surrealist one or something. More subtle in that one, but you could still see it. Okay, so where are we? Okay, another one is another little anatomy one. If I stick my hand out, does anything look different in the finger structure to you? And I'm not sure if everybody's doing this, but I saw Mandela Affected. He was talking something about, he didn't specifically mention this, but he stuck his hand out, and I saw something, and I looked, and my hand was doing it. So see if you can see what looks weird on your hand right now with the fingers. See if anybody can see the same thing I'm seeing. To me, this one's a fairly new one. I think this last few weeks. And it's not one I've mentioned specifically before. Does anyone have any idea why there are such small changes to things like movie lines where the rest of the movie is the same? Why aren't there new ones or different people in them? What's the purpose? Mark, yeah, that is a huge question. I agree with you. We don't know. I mean, if it was just like time travel or something, you would expect a whole bunch of differences in the movies, different movies. Why is like one word change and the whole rest of the song sounds exactly the same with the exact same timing, the exact same breaths, and then one sentence or one line or one word is different? I mean, we don't know, and that if we could figure that one out, that would be a huge clue. It's like things are different, but they're not different enough to be explained by any theories that humans can easily come up with. You know, like all the old sci-fi theories of sliders, that stupid, corny TV show, or time travel, or alternate timelines. They're not different enough for that. Ah, someone's got it. Wait. It just don't. Cupid. Oh, ho, ho. Exactly. Ding, ding, ding. I don't know why, but this finger's sticking way out now for me. It used to be more like this. They're spraying out more. They used to be more like this. I can't even actually do it, but this finger now really wants to stick out to the side. So again, I think our grip is getting more, like it's getting wider. So this guy really sticks out now. QB gets the nod on that one. My fingers look rotated. I'm not sure what that one means. Let's see. Each finger is rotated a little more. Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, they're more radial instead of just all coming up evenly like that. They're more out like that. Yeah, okay, I think, yeah. The spacing and no skin in between each finger. Okay, so next one. Not that one. Okay, this one I wanted to bring up. Mandela Affected definitely was the first one to notice this as far as I can tell. But sometimes stuff gets buried in his streams, and so I want to mention this one anyway, because I think this one is really important to keep an eye on. So I just typed in globe map, and again, this is Mandela Affected channels, ME here. I type in global map. I haven't typed anything specific. And if any of you who watch his channels a lot might notice this. When I first learned of the ME and I looked at the globe, I always saw right here Antarctica. Now this is not how it was depicted for me. This weird style of map that they currently do was not in my old timeline. But what he noticed is that a lot of maps are showing up like this one now. This one does not have Antarctica in it. And before they all did. Here's another one here. This one, no Antarctica. This one, no Antarctica. This one has it. This one has it. This one has it. This one does not. Yes, yes, no. So at least a third looks like this one, no. This one, no. Yes, no. That one has it, but it's not really a map. Yes, no, no. A lot of maps just aren't showing Antarctica anymore. Like almost half of them, I'd say. And I'm wondering if that is going to be the precursor to Antarctica changing. because I wasn't really watching when Antarctica disappeared because I didn't know of the Mandela effect, and I certainly never occurred to me that Antarctica would disappear, which not everybody had Antarctica, but the northern ice cap. So is Antarctica going to go bye-bye now? We need to keep an eye on it, definitely, because there's something weird going on. Now I'm also going to show this. Let's look at an Antarctica map. Now, this is my contribution to Mandela Affected's observation here about Antarctica. All right. Now, a lot of times they say, well, they don't show the northern ice because there's no continent there. But there's kind of a confuser that they've been doing with Antarctica because, it's not a real clear map, but basically sometimes they show it with the Ross ice shelves and the other ice shelves, and sometimes they don't. Now, I think what it was a year ago was they always showed it without the ice shelves, which made sense because that's what they say they do. They're not going to show that just the ice. And Antarctica looked more like this, including these shelves. But now sometimes you see it very thin in here, and they're saying, oh, well, it used to just show the shelves. I don't think it did. I don't think it showed the shelves before. So basically what I'm saying is it's gotten really skinny across here. There used to be kind of a more orderly tentacle here without this big pinch. And I've been watching the shelves, no shelves thing, and it's like they're pinching in here, and then they're just saying, oh, this is just regular ice. So I think what's happening here is this regular ice is slowly encroaching on Antarctica. Let me see if I can find a better map because you can't really see it that well on any of these maps. This one's a little bit better. So here's the ice shelves here. And even though they've got this confuser with the ice shelves, yes, no, are they going to show it? I think this is really pinching in here. And this basically, Antarctica is disappearing. It's becoming more and more ice. I think we need to keep an eye on that one. Hopefully I won't shift and there'll be no Antarctica and no one will remember because I'm going to flip out. But I think we really need to keep an eye on Antarctica right now. There's weird things going on. And in addition, just the regular global maps. I forgot to mention this, but map image. The shape here that goes along the bottom has changed for me also. You can see the ones that do have Antarctica on them. The shape is, I can't really exactly describe it, but I think there was more stuff around the sides here than there is now. That shape is not the shape I remember for across the bottom of the map. And see this, see right here where there's kind of a little finger. I don't remember that being there at all. So I think that has changed. Delphius writes, haha, I was just asking Hubs why my pinky was sticking out so far. Yeah, Mandela Affected stuck up his hand. And I think he was talking about something else, but I'm like, what the hell's up with his pinky? So I look at my hand, it's doing the same friggin' thing. In my country, we have a LHC now, Large Hadron Collider. It used to be Haldron in my old timeline quite a ways back. It's an old ME, but I still have trouble saying it right. Many people don't even know that. Andy Chuang. Is that like, is it one of the Asian countries? That's interesting. Yeah, a lot of people only remember like the one on Switzerland, which is now half in France. Now they're like everywhere. It's weird. Because those things aren't cheap to build, so you would think that you would hear about it if your country was building one. Let's see. How many are there now? Last I checked, there were so many. How many particle accelerators are there in the world? There are more than 30,000 accelerators operating around the world. God, you know, I think it was just like 800 last I checked. What is an LHC? Is a particle accelerator. So the LHC is supposed to be just that one, I guess. So anyway, there's a ridiculous number of them now. I used to study Antarctica. Really, yours was Arctica. Mine was Arctica. Arctica. The opposite of Antarctica. They were bookends, you know, one on each end. Arctica and Antarctica. Twilight Zone, yeah. I never thought a whole continent would disappear and almost nobody would notice. It's just completely beyond comprehension. I noticed quite a few options from Facebook and YouTube have been changing quite frequently. I know they say they're updates, but it seems a bit strange when it revert back to original state. Yeah, you know, the whole updates thing, it covers a lot of shenanigans, I think. Because anything's weird, oh, it's just an update. But as we've seen with the logos, a lot of times it's not. It's just the update, the software update thing, it's made it so it's impossible to know if something's fishy with there. Sheep are like turtles now. Once on their back, they will die if not helped. James Johnson. Really? I have not heard that. Sheep's on their back. According to the Working Sheepdog website, a sheep is at risk of getting stuck on its back if it is heavily pregnant, if it has a heavy, possibly wet fleece, or it is simply too fat. But once stuck on its back, it's vulnerable to attack from predators such as crows. Attack from predators such as crows. I thought they were going to say like wolves or something. Weird. Sheep on its back is close to death. Huh. Crows or badgers. You just never know what ridiculous baloney you're going to read next. Okay, so they're not saying they die by themselves, but something could eat them. Let's see. They're not good at writing themselves. I don't see why. I guess they're pudgy. I don't know. Huh. It's hard to imagine sheep being that helpless. It certainly won't have got itself in that position on purpose. A sheep stuck on its back is vulnerable. Not only is it easy prey for crows or badgers, but its own biology is against it. In order to digest grass, sheep have a 4-chambered stomach. Fermentation produces gas, and when the sheep is the wrong way up, gas can't escape. The gas builds up and causes pressure on the sheep's lungs until it simply can't breathe anymore. Wow, that's a good find. I've not heard of that one. The combination of suffocation and predator attack is pretty grim. Huh. So you got to keep your sheep turned over. Huh. Wow, okay, new one, definitely. Sheep are kind of wimpy. On the flip side, apparently horses and cows can sit or lay down now, and often do. So sheep have gotten more wimpy. Horses and cows are a little more robust. Doodle a day. Arctica. Yes, it was Arctica. I'm really wondering what's going on with Antarctica, though. It looks like, It melted. No, no, it didn't. Because if it melted, they said that the sea level would rise it was like 400 feet. It was supposed to rise if Antarctica melted. But no, I live near the coast, and the sea level has not even risen 1 inch. I mean, you go down to the beach, it's the same place it was before. The same rocks are the same level. You can stand on the same rocks. I mean, I guess it could have risen a few inches, but... Hadron used to be Haldron for me too. Yep, Dark Wolf's Den. It was Haldron. That's not a super well-known ME, but I have heard a few other people say it. Yeah, Delphius writes exactly. How can they not see it? Very hard to understand. That has got to be the hardest part, is so few people see it. I mean, even if just 5% or 10% or like one person I knew saw it, but it's so few, so few. Autumn Nichols, nice haircut. Thanks. I actually don't care for this one compared to the ones I usually get are a little better, but it is still better than my shaggy hair that it was before, so I don't worry about it too much. It grows out in like 2 weeks anyway, so. Watched the North Pole Antarctica melt live on a webcam around 2011, 2012. You saw it melt? Huh. It just was suddenly gone and never existed for me. There was nothing about any melting. I mean, they used to say, oh, it's gonna and we might all die. And the way it's the temperatures are rising, it will for surely melt and blah, blah, blah. But then that's all I heard. I never actually heard of anything about it actually melting. Ah, Rusty Stevens Lee also remembers Haldron. Interesting. That's an older ME for me. It changed at least a couple years before I ever even heard of the ME. And at that time, I was like, must have been wrong. But then I thought, oh, maybe there's 2 versions. Cobbsio. People in real life just thought of me as out there, told me I'm starting to sound like schizophrenic to them. So glad there are others aware. Yeah, I don't talk about it a lot with regular people. You can see that they think I'm insane. I'm not accomplishing anything other than making them think I'm insane. They absolutely don't want to hear what I have to say. So I'm just very selective about what I say. I'll just say, oh, there's this trendy thing on the internet, and some people say blah, blah, blah. Haldron. Plume remembers Haldron. Ah, okay. So maybe a lot of people remember it. It's just those older MEs are kind of harder for a lot of people because the current reality has had a lot more time to ingrain the newer version, and not everybody remembers that version from way back. Oh, is somebody, let's see. I was thinking the 1990s. When is it now invented? Are you talking about the Hadron Collider? I bet it's way back. I think I looked into this before. When was the Hadron? That's a kind of a good question. When was history of Hadron Super Collider? The more times I say Hadron, the harder it is for me to remember the new version again. Largest and most powerful particle collider was built by the European organization CERN between 1998 and 2008. That sounds about right to me. Sharkticon, nah, finally caught me. Yep. Every night, Wednesday night for me, which is Thursday morning for a lot of people. The other day I was watching some videos about hawks and eagles catching their prey. It was funny because the cover had a bald eagle catching an alligator. Yeah, the bald eagles are pretty bad boys now. They're also considered a water bird now. And they congregate in large groups. They used to be kind of a forest critter. Bald eagles now go all the way up to Alaska, and they hang out with the polar bears. So there's a lot of weird, let me see if I can find the image of the bald eagle, polar bears. This is an older ME that I talked about before, but let's see if I can find it. I haven't looked at this one in a long time, but there was see, look at how many of them are. There was some images where there was like 30 or 40 of these guys all hanging out. Oh, look at that one. Some of them have weird heads now. Is that some other kind of eagle? Let's see if it'll get bigger. Not really, but look, see, those guys do not have the white heads. That's a different one. Whoops, goofed it up. Try again. So, I don't know if they're saying that's a different kind of eagle, but this is not showing the image I want to see, though. Ah, here. This is the kind of image that I was looking for. Look at all those eagles. It's ridiculous. That one looks like it's photoshopped with its weird face. Oh, look at all those eagles. There's even more images now. Annual gathering of bald eagles. I think that they're saying they all go up to Alaska or something. But, yeah, we just didn't have a gajillion images of... I mean, I never saw so many eagles even next to each other. You just see, like a pair, and that would be it. But I guess now there's annual gatherings. Huh. Weird, weird, weird. There are some images where there's polar bears in there, too. Ah, look at those things. So many. Anyway, obviously bald eagles are not near extinction anymore. That one always trips me out, though. Yeah, there's even more images than there was. The heck is this? Oh, look at that guy. What's this white under the wings here? Bald eagles flock to Delta. The Vancouver landfill in Delta. Yeah, it looks like they're getting some white under the wings here, maybe? This one doesn't show a lot of it, but... if you see a few images, just keep watching, because... Alright, only that one image shows it so far that I see. But keep an eye on it. See, it looks in a little light under there. 2 young bald eagles. Okay, so it looks like the younger ones, these are flying, but they don't have the white heads. That's different for me. So it looks like the white heads are really slow to develop now currently. I mean, for me, once they could fly, they had white heads. Okay, so there's a fair lot going on with the eagles. Oh, here's another one with the white. Is that... yeah, that's... see, he's got a little white right there. That must be with... darn, it's not in English, so I can't really figure that one out. Okay. This is what happens to me. I start looking, and then I'm like, what? So, if I find an ME while you are here, you get to follow my... amazement a little bit. Doodle a day. The sea level has only risen 4 inches in hundreds of years. Well, that's the official storyline, I would guess, but I mean, who knows how many inches it's really raised. The whole geography's changed. So, whatever's written on there changes every 5 minutes sometimes, it seems like. So it just, you know, today it rose 4 inches, and then tomorrow they'll say something else. Cobb Keo, you have time constraints, I understand. that, you know, the all the live streams are recorded, and it takes a little bit of time for YouTube to process it and put it back up. But usually within about 20 minutes after the stream, you can then watch it again as a recorded version and leave comments. So you won't miss anything. Bottled water was invented. Oops, I missed that. Something about bottled water invention, and then it jumped. This eagle stuff is quite big for me. Yep. Plenty eagles now. Watch old astronaut interviews. They say you can't see any stars. It's just velvety blackness. You know, the only ones I saw where they're saying the camera can't see the stars because the settings on the camera and the exposure of the camera make it so that the faint stars do not show. And, you know, having done a tiny bit of photography myself, that is a plausible storyline. I have not seen them where they say specifically that they didn't see the stars. But, you know, all the old footage and everything is different now of the space program. I mean, there is not one interview from the past that was in my old past. But if you have specific links to said interviews, it would still be interesting to see those. Show that weird strawberry. Yeah, I'm getting to that one. I saw a bald eagle float 10 feet above me, directly at me. Yeah, I don't know. The local hawks can be a little Weisenheimers. They like to fly up behind my dog. Really low. I swear they're teasing her. Because they'll fly up from behind her and she won't see them, and they're so silent. And then suddenly she sees them above her head, and it gives her a little spook. And then she's kind of mad at them, but of course she can't get them, so she'll kind of chase, but they know that she can't get them. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if bald eagles do that, but I'll tell you, I've never really seen a bald eagle in the wild. Even though I live in California, I've never seen one. I remember they said it blew up and was shutting down right before everything started changing and the world went flat. Doodle a day. You know, when I think back, there were MEs even in the 90s for me, even before I ever even heard of Large Hadron Collider. And there may be even some going back further. So I personally am not a big fan of the we all died in 2012 thing. I do think things have really ramped up since then. But I cannot pinpoint a set time when it really started. Because even like the Mandela ME itself and the Jayne Goodall one was around the same time. Those were quite some time ago when I saw those changes. And I saw those too. I do remember those too. I mean, at the time, I just assumed I was really stupid. I was like, you know, I got to get more sleep. I swear that guy died. I must have been, you know, I couldn't even explain it. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even want to think about it because it was so weird. One of the main reasons I remember it is because somebody else I had vaguely known said that he remembered Jayne Goodall having died and then suddenly being alive again. And because I remembered the same thing, it always stuck in my head from then on out. Like, maybe it's something truly weird because both of us remembered it. So that's probably one reason why I remember after all these years, because that guy said that. The babies are kind of big, I think, LOL. Yeah, the bald eagles. Yeah, for me, once they could fly. If you look at this one down here, it looks like a fair number of these don't have white heads. So the white headness might be kind of diminished now. So down for eagle season. That's got to be something else. Santa Barbara. That's a weird looking bird. Santa Barbara, that's near me too. I wonder if that eagle carries alligator was a real video or image. They do carry a lot heavier things than I remember. Well, look. Looks like this one's legit. I'm just going to kill the sound. The heck is that? Sub-Saharan Africa, the African fish eagle. Okay, that is not a bald eagle. Okay, so I think this is a different kind of eagle, though. But yeah, look at, he closes the mouth with his claws too. Pretty smart. Anyways, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. Do they have bald eagles where alligators are? That's another question. Okay, so anyway, let's get back on track here. Okay, this one's another interesting one. Now, I have heard of pupil having some control over pupils. What I have never seen is this much variation. And it would seem illogical to me to change this much because pupils are supposed to be controlling the amount of light that goes into your eyes so that you can see most efficiently. And that's why they were started saying maybe 10 years ago that when you see something you like, your pupils expand slightly, enough that somebody watching your eyes could notice it, but that was slightly. And then the last 6 months, or maybe even less, I've heard people saying, oh, now they're saying you can voluntarily expand your pupils by thinking of something you like, which sounds plausible compared to what they were saying before. But I have never seen anything this extreme. And it doesn't make sense to me because, like I said, this should goof up your effectiveness of your vision if they change this much. So watch this cat's pupils. It starts out here. Look at how big they get. I mean, that's just extreme. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, yeah, he's excited, but why would his pupils getting 3 times larger be a benefit to hunting? I don't understand that. Are they going to start to say that the pupil dilation is not super important to vision now? Or, I mean, how is that going to work out? Anyway, this went viral. So, yeah, weird. All right. All right, here's another one I just wanted to mention. See if I can find it. Fiona Broome, there's a lot of speculation on why she just sort of came up with the Mandela effect terminology and then just kind of disappeared. And I don't know how weird that is. It may be that just wasn't her area of interest, and so she didn't want to be at the head of it. But she has a YouTube channel now, and she has done some Mandela effect videos. I've watched a few of these. And they are just sort of elementary. What is the Mandela effect? She's not really. I don't know if she's not. Maybe she's not one of the top at spotting Mandela effects. Maybe it's just not her area of interest. But I do think it's kind of interesting that she's popped up out of the woodwork. A lot of you may have known that she was recently on Coast to Coast AM. And I saw part of it. I haven't seen the whole thing yet. So once it becomes free on YouTube, and it's probably a week or two that that particular episode will become free on YouTube, and I will watch the rest of it. But I just wanted to mention that. She's only got 220 subscribers. I don't know where she's going with it. But it should be interesting to kind of keep an eye on her channel and see what she's up to now that she's kind of popped her head up out of hiding a little bit here. April Renee 22. Hi, Eva. Hi. How are you guys doing? Let's see if I can get that down. Dark Wolf just looked up bottled water in 1622 in the UK. I can't say I have any knowledge of the history of bottled water, but I do know that when in the 70s, we just would have never even conceived of paying for water. I was probably one of the biggest scoffers about water, and now I drink bottled water all the time. So I got sucked in like everybody else. There was a big shift. Sally Field said like instead of love. It changed for me the third time. April Renee 22. For me, it was always you like me, you really like me. And then it changed to some other slight version of it. So it was never love for me. But I mean, there's a lot of timelines. So, and that speech is pretty shifty. So I wouldn't really be shocked. Acid spitting ants. Yeah, I covered that one in a previous live stream, the acid spitting ants. You've got those exploding ants, too. They just explode like bombs. That's another weird one. I didn't specifically cover that, but exploding. So some of them just spit the acid. Some actually blow themselves apart. Strange exploding ant species discovered in Asia. Sacrifices itself for its colony. Ugh, look at that weird looking thing. It's got a very flexible back, too. See if they show. They don't have much info on that one. I don't like to show too much video because I can get a copyright strike really easily, I've noticed. All right. It was Love in the Mask, Jim Carrey. I just know it was like for me, so I don't know what to tell you. And you'd have to look up the Jim Carrey and check and see if it still says what you remember, because a lot of times those things will switch out on you too. They love me. They really love me in the mask, Jim Carrey. Now, I won't dispute your Emmy. I know I have some that only I see and other people don't see. Some pretty weird things. So there's been ones I see and nobody saw, and then later they shifted to some third thing, and now everybody sees that new shift, like some of the logo ones. I remember the bombardier beetle, but no ants. Ronan, the voice. The bombardier is only about 5 years old for me, though. I mean, I didn't ever see of that before. So be careful, because some people, once an ME is about 4 or 5 years old, to them it's just fact. That's why I think it's a lot harder to see the older MEs. I was looking for a kind of an image of these blown up ants, but anyways, they were pretty gross. Okay, anyways, well, Scopatone. Yeah, Scopatone, never heard of it. It's fishy for me. There's a lot of history changes like that, where you think it started at a certain time, but really now the storyline is that there was an earlier version of it. And I actually have one of those coming up later in the live stream. All right, so that's page 1. All right, I have another weird lightning one. The lightning just gets weirder and weirder. Saw this GIF just like 12 hours ago. This was posted. So basically, this lightning is just going to pound one spot. That's like the longest persisting lightning I've ever seen in my life by far. It's ridiculous. Used to be you really had to be looking right at a spot to see lightning, because it would be gone in a millisecond. But apparently now it could just sit there and hang out for long periods of time. And you could see not only does it sit a long time, but then it It hits 2 more times after that. I mean, there was a reason why I used to say lightning never hits twice, because there was reason to believe it didn't. There was never super clear, obvious proof beyond all doubt that it did hit. This lightning hits the same spot 3 times, and that's very common now. I mean, the old lightning never hits twice, that would have never been a thing if the lightning always did this, because it's completely obviously false now. So, I don't know if the ME's just trolling us with this or what, but lightning like almost always hits twice now. Delphius, nice meeting you. Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. Estrogen is now the woman, but it discovered being testosterone. Can't spell it now, but it's like it's a theory. Okay, I'm testosterone. I'm gonna just try and see if I can figure that out, but sterone. If Google can't sort that spelling out. I don't think testosterone. Maybe that's what you meant to say, testosterone. Can estrogen convert to testosterone? Is that the story now? Estrogen converts to testosterone? Okay, I'm not sure where you're going with that one. Lightning has a travel speed now. Yeah, Donar, it can. And there's like, oh, that was another one I think I was going to mention. There's cold lightning now, where it doesn't burn you as bad. I think I was going to say this last time. I don't think I did, though. What is cold lightning? Forgot about that. Basically, all lightning is hot, very hot. In fact, lightning is the hottest natural phenomenon on Earth. Although, weirdly, people can be struck by it and still survive. But even though it's 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun, you can get hit by it and still survive. However, there's considerable variation between the peak current discharge duration and number of individual restrikes between various lightning charges. So you'll notice here the number of individual restrikes. It's almost like a given now. There's going to be a bunch of restrikes in the same spot. So a low current lightning strike with no restrikes is colder. It has much lower probability of setting fire to whatever it hits. So they're saying it just does a lot less damage. Like they're saying a cold lightning might explosively blast a strip of bark off a tree, but does not set the tree on fire. Anyway, thought that was interesting. Pink dandelions. Ah, is that a new one? Pink dandelions. Oh my gosh. Pink dandelion. I'm assuming that those aren't Photoshop. Pink dandelion. Facebook. Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company add a new photo. It looks like there might be there. Heirloom dandelions. True pink dandelion growing in my yard. Okay. So apparently this is a remarkable member of the dandelion family. Striking yellow-centered pink flowers are borne over. Yeah, okay. Pink dandelions. Can't say I'm shocked. I really can't. There's been a lot of weird dandelion photos up. Just about 2-3 weeks ago, there was like 2 or 3 of them on Reddit in a short period of time. One had a super fat stalk, one had a really long stalk, and one had a really big, fat dandelion. So they really seem like they're trying to push that dandelions have a lot of variation in them. Donald Duck's new blue eyes. Let's check it out. Blue eyes. Well, I'll just say Donald Duck. Let's see what comes up. No dig. Oh. That's ugly. Images. It looks pretty blue in that image. Oh yeah, look. They're getting blue. Look at that. Yeah, no. No, he didn't have blue eyes. I mean, that is a light blue, and some of the shading is blue on this one. But, look. Very blue in that one. Yeah, no. There were no cartoons with blue eyes. Well, I guess, look at that. They both do. Yeah, definitely good find. Unimundi found that one, I assume. This one looks normal. It's barely blue, so you don't notice it. Look there. Amazon Japan version. That looks about right. Yeah, no. No blue eyes, guys. Ooh, that one looks about right there. Blue eyes. Ugh, look at even a... that looks so wrong. All right. I don't even have to check all the other channels because you guys can just tell me all the cool stuff. Gas lightning. You got a lot of good ones. All right. Gas lightning. I'm quite sure. 11 warning signs of gas. Oh, gas lighting. Okay. But we want gas lightning. Jonar, was that just a typo? And you meant to say gas lighting? Or is there really gas lightning? Show instead for gas lightning. Let's see. Is lightning solid, liquid, or gas? Lightning and gas. Alright, I'm not seeing gas lightning, so I'm going to assume you meant gas lighting. I notice it's easier to get my poppers out of the toaster. Yep, I don't do toast, so can't help you on that one. It's all the ducks? I mean, not ducks in real life, though, right? I'm going to flip out if real ducks have, I'm going to flip out if real ducks have blue eyes. I'm going to totally flip out. Oh, I guess that one has red eyes. Oh, yeah, okay. Look at that. Actually, it occurs to me I actually don't know what color eyes ducks used to have. That one has a really weird eye slit. I'm sure they didn't have that, but no animals did. Huh. Okay. I don't know. People thought Jesus had horns on the Shroud of Turin. They were just extended bloodstains. There was no such storyline in my old timeline about horns on Jesus. But that whole... I mean, Unimundi brought it up, but we'd been talking about it on Retcon for a year, that the Shroud of Turin has changed a lot. And the last I checked, it was so faded out, you could barely see the friggin' thing. You could see the bloodstains, but you couldn't really see the shadowing. And you could, in my old time, it was very clear, the shadowing of the actual him instead of just the blood. Some cats have weird blue eyes now. Cat with blue eyes. I mean, I did have blue eye cats before. Interestingly, they used to say if they were white with blue eyes, they were almost always, or would go either deaf or blind in at least one ear or one eye. Let's see. But yeah, I had some pretty strong... that one does look really bright. So it's hard to tell, though, if that was photoshopped or not. See, like that one, I'm just really suspicious about that one, but they do look really intense, though. I'm used to them being more like this. Two color eyes getting very popular. Yeah, they're looking pretty bright, aren't they? This looks more right. I don't remember this look. Yeah, that looks all right, but yeah, I have to agree. They look a little... Let's see. There are two color eye cats. Look at how bright it is in the center. Yeah. It looks a little fishy, I have to agree. I mean, they always had beautiful eyes, but it's a step up. Ooh, what's this one? I wonder if that's another one of those chimera cats. Una proteina presente in el variante felina de virus. Huh. Not sure what that... My Spanish isn't that great. Two-faced cat named Narnia. I'm going to go visit that and just take a quick... Because I've been... nope. I've been watching the chimera cats, and this one never came up. So, I don't know if it's brand new to this timeline or what. Is that the one I tried to get to before? Twisted sifter. Blue-eyed cat born with a two-tone face, while the rest has black fur. Her face is half gray. Let's see, it doesn't say anything about why. I bet you will be hearing some weird storyline about why it's split like that. This might be a new one, and so first they come out with like no info, and then later you'll hear some weird story about them. Huh. They're just talking about how it has its Facebook page and stuff. I think we'll hear more about that cat. Ecoducts. Check those out. Ecoducts. Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen any of those before. Certainly we had concepts like, yeah, no, I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, we definitely had the concept of, like, they would dig a trench underneath, and there would be kind of a tunnel for them, but they didn't put all this grass and stuff on it. I've never seen anything like this. Interesting. I guess this one can go in with the bridges of water, a bunch of other weird stuff like that. Oh, they're cool. Ecoducts. I've been seeing a lot of people on TV calling eco as echo. I don't know. I've never heard of that until this year. Ecoducts instead of ecoducts. I don't know if that's a thing in another country, but it's very new for me. It's usually the calico cat that are two-faced for me. I've never really seen a calico split down. I mean, they're colorful, but I have not seen them with a straight split. The username is not available. The contrast is way up. Yeah, that's what I would have assumed in the old timeline, that those cats are Photoshop, but there's so many, or, you know, like you said, manipulated, but there are a lot of images of that look. And I also would say that a lot of Emmys start with this, oh, it's Photoshopped, and then it becomes real. So keep a sharp eye on that one. I suspect there are just too many images in there with that same look. I mean, Sharon McDonald, the Maine Coon, has blue eyes. The fact that they're blue is not new for me. The fact that they are that blue, I find very suspicious. And like I said, a lot of stuff shows up on images on the internet first, You'll see more and more and more and more images, and then you'll start to see them in real life. So keep an eye on that one. I think that there was enough images on there, really blue eyes, that one's going to be reality. I'm also seeing more intense, weird colorations on a lot of dogs, especially huskies and malamutes. The facial coloring has really gotten more detailed and interesting in the last couple years. And it's only been a couple years, and some of these dogs are not real young dogs, so I'm not buying it's just the photoshopping. No. Too many images, same blue. The dancing spider. Yeah, I saw that one. We talked about it on Retcon quite a bit, that spider with the bright blue butt. There's a whole bunch of variations of that spider now. First, you just saw the butt, and you saw still images. And then maybe 6 months later, suddenly the spider also dances and does a bunch of other weird stuff. So that's how these MEs develop. First, just the first salvo will be just one weird thing, and then they'll start slipping in the other weird things. Colors on seagull's tail, wingtips. Yeah, I think I was seeing some black ones and stuff. That again, that's other people's ME. There are some weird things going on. I think I remember the black tips though, but some of these have more going on. I can't swear on that one. Remember the red spot on the... I remember the red spot on the beak. I do not remember it coming up like this. And I sure as heck do not remember all of this black over here. Definitely not. The heck, are these all different ones? Flying seagull. There must be some other kind. What, black feet and a black head now? No. I mean, I guess it could be misidentified, but... yeah, there just seems like there's a lot of variation now on these. Look at black on the back here. Nope, that wasn't there. All this black tipping here. Nope. What's going on? I think we're just going to see a whole bunch of kinds now. Look at this one again. All of this. I don't know if they're going to say there's a bunch of species now or just variation within the same kind. Oh, look at that head on that one. It doesn't look real. It looks like some... this part looks real, but the head doesn't look real. I don't know if they... that's weird. Oops. I don't know what I ended up with. Okay, weird. The gull wings. You can see it when the wings are folded. All right. Seagull perched. Let's try a different tact. Oh, I see. Darn. I'm not sure on that. That might have been in my old timeline. It's not letting me click on images here. All right. I'm not sure on that one. I just, those little rat creatures, I just, that looks weird there to me. Yeah, I don't remember all this black back here. I am not sure on that gray. It might be an older ME and I've just gotten used to it. I've certainly never seen all this. I'm sad to say that I just don't pay attention to those little beasts. Also, I used to see a lot of seagulls maybe 10 years ago and earlier. We'd see them flying inland whenever a storm was coming, even if it wasn't that big. And the last 10 years, I almost never see seagulls. At Unless I go to the beach, I don't see seagulls. And I have not been going to the beach that much these last few years. Seagulls had a soft gray color. Yeah, I think that might be right for me also. It's just gotten stronger now. But a soft gray on the wings, I think, is probably like this guy here. A soft gray. I did not have these white speckles back here. But there was that red thing on the beak. Okay, so next one. All right, this is a story you probably heard lately. I have just never heard of these disgusting things. Apparently, there has been an outbreak of sea lice in Florida, and they cause these nasty rashes, like this poor sucker here. So they're saying, don't go out in the water, as these little suckers get on you, and you get this. I don't know if you remember, about 6 months ago, there was a guy who, in Australia, who stuck his legs in the water, and then he was just kind of dangling his legs for a half hour, and when he pulled them out, they were all bloody, and they blamed it on the sea lice, and I thought that was really fishy, because I've never heard of sea lice. I don't know, you know, I live by the coast, so I kind of keep my ear out for any dangers in the water, and it used to just be stingrays, sharks, and that was mostly it. I've never heard of this sea lice thing, so. Oops, another secure connection. Florida warns beachgoers about outbreak of sea lice in water. So there's that image again. Ugh. Swimmers develop a rash. They should use antihistamine creams, calamine lotion, and take an oatmeal bath. Anyway, nasty, nasty. Fishy, yes, yes. Sometimes I make a pun and I'm not even thinking about it. It must be my subconscious mind. Lots of animals have become carnivores, but others gone vegan. Yeah, there's just been a lot of switching up. I did one video where I said a lot of animals are just eating more things now, like they just have a wider diet range. I see seagulls every day. They fly to the city center to steal food from people. They are little stinkers. If I go to the beach and I have a bag of stuff, they will throw your stuff all over the sand on the off chance
dogs won't give up
that you just might have a snack in there. And even if there's no food in there, if you go out to the ocean and you come back, your stuff will be all over the sand. And the first time it happened, I'm like, who's the jerk who threw my stuff all over the sand? But it was the seagulls. So you have to practically lock down your stuff, like bring a cooler and put heavy things on top, because they will just throw your crap everywhere. Black seagulls on YT, it's awful set of videos, but they were banned from being showed like pelicans due to their methods of killing prey. What's a YT now? YouTube bans creepy looking carnivore videos now. Because last I checked, they do allow things for documentary purposes. You may have trouble getting your video monetized, because for obvious reasons, if there's a lot of blood and gore, the advertisers don't want their advertising on there. So, but I have not heard of any problems with having it. Like, I've never heard of it being against their policies to just have it. All right, anyways. All right, I got one page done. All right, now we're going to get to the thumbnail one. Viviparous germination. All right, what the heck is viviparous germination? Basically, it means that the seeds sprout early. So you have a seed that's, okay, here's a good example of it. These corn kernels are still on the cob, but they're sprouting. So premature kernel sprouting. And suddenly I've been seeing these everywhere. And in the strawberries, here's an example of one. On the strawberry, the little seeds are on the outside. So these seeds are sprouting. It certainly saves a lot of time. I mean, and it makes sense. Why not just use the fruit itself as a food source to get going? This one here is interesting because it looks like these kernels have died, yet they've got this sprout here. Anyway, I've been seeing a ton of this lately. Here are some that have really sprouted. Oh, tomatoes. There's a lot of images of tomatoes. It looks extra gross when it's tomatoes because they look all wormy. So yeah, a lot of this viviparous early sprouting. Weird stuff. Looks really weird. Let's see if there's... I think they were saying it has to do with viruses and stuff. Seeds germinate while still attached to the parent plant. The seeds germinate while still attached to the parent plant. The embryo grows out of the seed and then out of the fruit. Yeah, they were saying some of it was viviparity is common, is development of the embryo inside the body of the parent, eventually leading to live birth as opposed to... Okay, that's a different thing. That's live birth. Okay. So there's viviparous germination, and then there's another one that's kind of similar. Let's see if I'm doing the spelling right. And this, I assume this pronunciation is phyllody, and that's when flower structures turn to leaves. Phyllody is an abnormal development of floral parts into leafy structures, generally caused by phytoplasma or virus infections. So I'm going to read the rest of the... Although it may also be because of environmental factors that result in imbalance of plant hormones. Phyllody causes affected plant to become partially or entirely sterile. It is unable to produce flowers. All right, so let's look some images. So basically you've got these flowers that turn back into leaves. So this was a flower, but then it all started growing leaves instead. So it looks quite the mess. So yeah, that's phyllody. I've also been seeing a lot of images of those lately. All right. I just had my tomato do that, Sharon. I assume you haven't seen it before. I know because someone told me pelicans are only shown eating fish. Stay away from pelicans. They kill small children if they're hungry. They are big. I don't think I've ever seen them killing small children, but a lot of the birds eat stuff like rabbits and mice and rats and stuff. So I mean, it's gotten where they'll put anything down their throat and eat it now. Ooh, look at that one. Look at that rose with leaves in the middle. That's really striking. Okay, anyways, back to the story. Sharon planted it. Yeah, that'll work. I mean, it should grow. It just needs dirt. DNA unglued. Yeah, Bill Bird, I agree with you. There's just a lot of weird DNA things now. A lot of weird DNA things. All right. This one's a little bit gross. I was going to show you the original video, but maybe I won't. There was 2 separate things on this in one day on YouTube, And people were like, ew, what's this in my toilet? So apparently there's this thing called drain fly larva, and they live in like toilets and stuff. And so you get these worms in your toilet, and they can come up from underneath, and these flies will lay it. It's just gross. See if I can find it. You almost have to see it, but basically people flip out. They're pretty big. That one doesn't really show it that large, but... Oh, here. This is what they look like, and they'll be like in your toilet. That wasn't quite right here. Well, it looks like there's a bunch of kinds. All right, I'm going to show it. You just have to see it. Nobody uses this bathroom, and now I know. So even if your water's really clean, apparently they can come from below and take over your toilet. So pretty gross. So there's been a number of videos where somebody found a few of these in their toilet. Luckily, it doesn't come from you. It comes from your toilet. But anyway, gross. Never heard of such a thing. Yeah, people will think that a tapeworm. Exactly. And that's everybody's like freaking out. But, I mean, you know if you flushed and everything went down and then later there's a worm, then you know it didn't come from you because you flushed and only the worm is there and everything else is gone. Nope. You know, some of these people had really clean toilets, but I guess they're saying they can come in from the sewer system. So, you know, down in the sewers and your septic system or whatever, it's not going to be clean there because you're just cleaning the toilet that you can see. You're not cleaning 10 feet back into your house. So anyway, if you see one of those in your toilet, don't flip out. Just look and see if it looks like one of these drain fly larvae. Dogo. Okay, we've seen a lot of weird horses, metallic looking horses, blah, blah, blah. This one I saw recently. Looks like a Dalmatian. The coloration of the horses now are pretty crazy. So basically you have a horse the color of a Dalmatian now. Pretty cool. These new colorations are starting to show up on Reddit now. All right, here's another Reddit one. So here's the question. If you remember the Dead Sea Scrolls, when were the Dead Sea Scrolls found in your timeline? When do you remember hearing about them? How long ago was that? And no cheating by looking on YouTube, just from your memory. That username is not available. That's a normal horse. Well, you know what? For my timeline, nope, it wasn't. And you know what? We have a lot of reservations around here. A lot. San Diego has a lot of reservations. No more reading in the loo. Yeah, well, they don't hurt people, so that's the only thing saving grace about those worms. Did they come out of the sink too? Not yet, as far as I know. They have to have water. They're a larva that lives in the water. Parasites no longer blocked by our water filters when they used to be. Yeah, the toilets don't really have a filter though. It's just they just have that S curve. You got to wonder how it gets back through that air dam though. All right, so you guys, when do you remember the Dead Sea Scrolls? There's a lot of different answers on this one. This is interesting. Or.Mon, 1982. In the desert in the 1980s. That's about right for me. The 80s. Because there was a big thing about them finding it. They found it. They hadn't translated them yet. We're all sitting there waiting and going, when are they going to translate them? The translation wasn't out yet, but they had found them, and we're like, years passed before we heard the translation. So I'm like, how long does it take to translate these dang things? But it was just a couple years. All right, some of the people have it for this timeline. 50s. I saw a snail-looking thing coming out of the sink at my friend's. There's, in my old timeline, they used to say that was a myth, that snakes didn't come out of the toilet. All these things didn't come out of the toilet. Everything comes out of the toilet now. Rats, snakes, everything can get through the pipes now. It's gross. Malayan leaf frog. I will do a quickie, but let me first take out this Dead Sea Scrolls. Whoop. What? That's weird. I'm getting a lot of connection failures. It really should not have a connection failure to... SSL received a record that exceeds the maximum permissible length. Oh, that's weird. Let's go to Google and see what's going on here. I'm not sure if that's in my computer, on the internet. Tell me Google's down. That seems unlikely. What, look, Yahoo's up, but no Google? No Google? Are you telling me there's no Google? Oh, okay. Google looked like it was down for a bit. All right. Let's see if this one will work up here. That was weird. Here we go. Teenage shepherds accidentally stumbled upon the first set of Dead Sea Scrolls in late 1946 or early 1947. So a long time ago. Now, this was like 80s for me. But this is not the first time that something has gone way back in time, because there's been some other discoveries that I'm sure happened when I was in high school, because I was reading about them and studying them in high school. And now they happened in like the 40s also. So this is not the only one. Yeah, exactly. When I was in high school in the 80s. That's about right for me. I mean, I wasn't a little kid, but I was still pretty young. And it was a big thing, Heart's Truth. Yeah, exactly. It was a big deal when they came up with these. And they announced a discovery, but then they did not have the translations yet. So I'm like, I was really curious about the translations, and I was mad because it took them like a couple years to cough up the translations. And then I was kind of disappointed because they were basically sort of boring. My client said crickets were coming out of her toilet. Crickets. All right. Crickets. Everything comes out of the toilet now. Crickets. Ugh, those jump too. I'd rather have a worm, to be honest. A cricket being flushed down the toilet. Cave crickets. Huh. How to treat crickets coming up my bathroom shower drain. Camel crickets and tub drain. Ooh, interesting. All right. So it's going to be some of these subterranean crickets, I think. We do have cave crickets in this timeline, and I had not heard about them until about 6 years ago. Cave crickets. And I had been in my share of mine tunnels. When I go out to the desert, we pretty much go in any mine tunnel that looks like it probably won't collapse. And I'd never seen these crickets until recently. Cave crickets. We'd see bats, tons of bats, sometimes some rats. Just the leftovers left behind by rats. But I never saw crickets until recently. Once these insects start living inside your drains, it's only a matter of time before some start showing up inside the home. This will happen once the population gets dense, causing some to migrate. This will typically happen in spring, summer, and fall. Now, if your home uses a septic system, the crickets could be living in the ground where the drain tanks are buried. Ugh, gross. Okay, so crickets. The drain line running from your sink, bathtub, and shower is a direct way insects can enter any home. Rarely will the water fill the pipe and flush it clean. Ammonia, they're not able to fully coat the pipes, so the insects can avoid these cleaners and continue living because organic matter will keep accumulating inside the pipes over time. You know, it makes total sense. It just never used to happen before. All right, so let's look at these camel crickets. I think this might be the cave crickets. It's the same thing. Camel crickets get their common name from humpbacked appearance. That does look like the cave crickets. So they don't look that weird. Big legs. Camel crickets. Camel crickets get their common name for their... All right, how to get rid of them. Widespread in the United States and in the world. Do not produce sound. Do not have wings. All right, well. Are found outdoors around buildings, cool, moist environments. Yeah, okay, so they could come in. Let's see if you have snails. Snail out of toilet. Do we have snail? It's a lot of that site said insects in general. Toilet snails at work, what are they? Aquarium snails. Oh yeah, can snails swim? I think I showed a number of months ago as snails can swim, like they swim underneath the surface of the water now, and they actually use the water. They're like upside down under the water swimming, and they use the surface tension at the top of the water. Snail in toilet bowl. Okay, you're not the only one. All right, I'm going to click on this thing. I came into work on Monday and there was dozens of black snails floating in the toilet. This video was taken after I had flushed a few times. Within a few minutes, this is how many floated back up. Gross. Dumped them onto cardboard. Little black snails. All right, so this person doesn't seem to have any clue what's going on either. There's no comments, but apparently you're not the only one that saw snails in the toilet. Wouldn't they drown? Well, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of yammer about snails keeping air in their shell and they can live a long time. And then they might be an aquatic snail. There are those. Crickets were chirping in the daytime. Sharon, for me, our local ones chirp in the daytime. We have ones that sound like a rattlesnake. They have a burr very similar to rattlesnake. And for a long time, we would get those every summer. Although the last 5 years, I have not heard a single one of those things. But they would always chirp, thankfully, in the daytime. We didn't have those, the ones with the more classic sound. We almost never get those. You come to think of it, I haven't heard a regular cricket chirping in so many years either. Lately, I've been hearing all kinds of weird sounds. Sharon, yeah, the birds are making weird sounds. Even some of the old birds are making new sounds too. Like, it's like when New York freaked out on new species of fly when it was a northwest sweat fly, but no, it's new because they say so. I have no idea what you're even saying. So you're saying it's old, but everybody else is saying it's new? Okay, this one's interesting. This is a little bit of an older ME, and other people have somewhat covered it, but it just hit Reddit, the front page of the internet. That's what they call Reddit. And you could look there and see what the current masses of humans are being trained on as the new reality. All right, here it is. That's 5 days ago on Reddit. Today I learned that the speed of 1,000 kilometers per hour was first reached by a car in 1899. The car was fully electric. They have a nice image of it here. So 100 kilometers an hour, that's about, I think what they were saying was about 65 miles per hour. So for that timeline, for that time, that's really fast for me. So this is supposed to be the car here that he cranked along in, and it was electric. So if you guys have been keeping up with the MEs, this was out a few months ago that supposedly electric cars came before gas-powered cars and were somewhat popular, and they had battery-powered public transportation like buses and stuff too. So this is the first I've heard about them going fast. So that's kind of a new storyline, that not only were there electric cars, but they could go 65 miles per hour. I don't think anything could go 65 miles per hour in, what did they say, 1899 or something. No, we didn't have anything that fast in my timeline. But here they did, and it was electric. Birds are way more intelligent than they were. Yes, yes. Now they go into my house if I leave the door open, and then they leave by the door or window they came in it. Used to be if a bird went in your house, then it would panic and fly into the ceiling and be stuck there and be too stupid to find the door, and you were really screwed because he'd stay up there and poop all over your house. But now, no problem. He just flies back out. Tech before its time. Yep. Yeah, supposedly electric cars were invented first in this timeline. And then hushed up because you couldn't make money from fuel. That's the storyline now. I don't buy it. No. The original was closer to the ground. Yeah. You know, they even supposedly still have the car displayed right there. On display in Castle of Campania. So maybe that's just an ME. It keeps changing. Because, yeah, it's pretty high to the ground now. And this is a better design. It's like Messiah talking about the new discovery of black tigers, then twisted it to be a rare... You know, there were no black tigers in my old timeline, so... If you're saying you're gonna go on YouTube, oh look, black and blue tigers. Black tigers. Interesting. I mean, some of these have got to be photoshopped. Wow, look at that. That's neat. No, we didn't have these black tigers. Cool. Yeah, there's so many tigers. So, I don't know, username. It's their new Mandela Effects for me. These new colorations. Look at that weird patterning on that one. There's so much variation in the patterning now. That's a leopard with a designer coat. Wow, nice coloration. There's like every color in the universe now of tigers. Look at that. Wow, look at this one. Oh, okay, wait, he's just got light on him. But still, look at the darkness on the patterns. Every time I look. What's that on his stomach there? It looks like he has a little heart on his belly. That's a new one. So yeah, they're new. And if media says they're new, then I would say that media is actually right for once. All right, you know what? I think it's time for that username. I mean, all you're doing is naysaying the ME. That's all you're doing on the channel. Lucky for you. There we go. There we go. No moss. All right, now I don't have to listen anymore. Fortunately, my computer was really giving me attitude. It's like trying to print photos when your ink cartridge is running out. The colors all go to hell. Yeah, they're like faded ones. Yeah, the new ink cartridges, though, they will refuse to print even when there's still ink in there. It's another scam, which is why I got a continuous ink system, so I don't have to deal with that ridiculousness. Blue-gray tigers, there's everything colors. Yeah, so I deleted that username is not available. I'm sorry, but it's just nothing but naysaying. It was getting a little old. I'm assuming that one's Photoshop. Well, look at all the colors. Is that one even real? Melanistic black animals. Look, see, it's melanistic, but it's still got the white. All right, I'm going to visit this real quick and see what this is. See, it's melanistic, but it keeps its other colors, which really adds to the look. I'm still skeptical about this one. This black tiger, also known as Keyshawn, is a rare... All right, so they got the name. It's a rare black tiger. So we could look that up. See, this one's melanistic, but it's got the red beak still. Let's check out this Keyshawn. Now, I was just looking at tigers the other day, and I did not see Keyshawn. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That's so cool. Very nice. Ah. Wow, look at that one. The black lions, just beautiful. I'm assuming that these are photoshopped here. Last I checked, they did not have an actual... Blue tigers were still a rumor. Reported but unproven coloration morph. We don't have the blue ones yet. They might show up eventually, but they're not here yet. All right, so back to the story at hand. Okay, this one's an interesting one. This goes another, this is another one of those where it just looks physically impossible. See if that's enough info for me to find it. It does not look like it. All right. Let's see if I can. Oops. I've totally goofed that one up. Let's start over. Put that there where I can see it. This would be one that I should have pulled up in advance, but I didn't. Direct, B-A-R-R-N-I-B-E-R-I-N-A-R-E-L. See if I typed it in right. Yes. All right, this is a two-legged calf, and it can walk on its back legs, apparently. It looks completely ridiculous that it could do this. And that's definitely a skill level that I've never seen in any two-legged. I mean, I'm starting to see more dogs that can do this, and that was a couple years ago. Used to be the dogs were missing both front legs. They would just have to have a cart. But I started seeing dogs that could walk around on their back legs. But this calf is definitely a first for me. That just does not look right. Gonna enjoy the sunset. We'll watch the rest later. See you later, Plume. Okay, so where are we? Two-legged calf, very weird. All right, this one, I am not from Florida. You guys can tell me if this is weird or not. Did you have these before? I started seeing these snails a few years ago, but apparently now they eat stucco off of houses. So, giant hungry snails. They are, what did they call these snails again? African land snails. They're huge. And they grow as big as a tennis shoe, and they have a taste for stucco. They have slowly but surely spread to a new territory, alarming residents in the southern suburbs of Broward. Let's see, there was some other weird stuff. They leave a slimy trail of excrement. They carry rat lungworm, which causes meningitis. And they're huge. So Floridians, if there's any there, have you heard of these guys? I guess they're new even in this timeline. This is a 2015 article. So 3 years ago, did you hear about a stucco eating African snails? Because it seems to me like if you were in Florida, you probably should have heard about this in 2015. All right, so this one comes from Retconned, my group that I chit-chats on Mandela Effects a lot, and there's a person on there called MYCETISM, Mycetism, came up with this one, and it is on the history of Alaska. Where do you remember USA getting Alaska from? We purchased it off of another country way back in the day. Do any of you remember who we purchased Alaska from? Because to me, this has changed. And I don't know, maybe some of you remember the current timeline, but for me, where we got Alaska from has changed, and in a big, big way. Looks like something from Neverending Story. Yes, they do, don't they? Looks like they're mostly harmless other than being gross and eating your stucco. Cupie, Russia, really? You remember Russia. Wow. That's creepy. It makes sense in this timeline because Russia's right on the doorstep of Alaska. It's only like a couple miles from Alaska. But for me, it was Canada. I remember them. We got that from Canada. The only players back in my old timeline were Canada was mostly, it was Spain and France. There was no Russia involved. Russia was really far away. It did not have control of Alaska. And what's weird is there's some people on Retcon from Quebec that remember Canada too. They don't remember. I don't remember Russia having anything to do with North America whatsoever. I mean, in this timeline, it makes sense because they're right there. But so it's Russia right now. So I guess you guys are all not from my timeline because it is Russia. For me, it was Canada. We bought it from Canada, and some people from Quebec remember it from Canada. They're actually the ones that came up with this Mandela effect. Yeah, the French were involved in North America. Yeah, the French, the Spanish, the English, not the Russians. Not for me. I mean, that was about 50-50 on Retcon. That was about half of us remember Canada. The other half remembered Russia. But some people are from more this timeline than I am, definitely. There was another weird thing about it, too, that I also saw when I was looking through. During World War II, the Japanese occupied 2 Alaskan islands, Attu and Kiska, for 15 months. The Japanese did not have any of our friggin' islands, and they were not close to North America in my timeline. No way. No way, no way, way. So that's also another ME for me. M. Hobbs. Canada for me, too. Heart's Truth, Canada would make sense. Okay, so M. Hobbs remembers Canada. Yeah, I remember Japan being between Russia and the U.S., so Russia wasn't that close to North America. For me, it's just, there was a whole bunch of ocean, a whole crap load of ocean between us and Russia. Not really that there was anybody between them, but they were way far away. I mean, the space between the countries has shrunk so much. Sharon's going to bed. All right, see you again next week, hopefully. All right, so that's that one. Obviously not super popular one, but I swear there was no Russia. All right, this one's an interesting one. I heard about it a few years ago, but it has changed since then. So a couple years ago, they started talking about eclipse winds. So when there was an eclipse, they said that winds would kick up. And we had a couple, as you guys have noticed, we've had a lot of eclipses in the last few years. And one a couple years ago, they said, oh, and the winds kicked up. It's the eclipse winds. And they talked about how it had been very quiet without wind. And then when the eclipse hit, the breeze blew in the trees. And that was a couple years ago. That's the first I'd heard of eclipse winds. And at that time, I was very suspicious of them because I did know about the ME already. But now I was going to mention it again, and I looked it up, and it's changed a bit. So the storyline now is that during the eclipse, the winds died down and changed directions. Before, it was the winds picked up. So I notice it has this very convenient kind of vague term. So whatever the winds are doing, scientists, let's see. So they're basically saying now, solar eclipse don't turn the lights out. They also make the wind slow down and change direction. So that's the new storyline. Different for me. So that's changed. How can the eclipse cause any kind of wind? Basically, they were saying the temperatures changed because the sun wasn't there, and then the air moved around, because pretty much all wind is caused by changes in airflow, which is caused by rising air when it's hotter and falling air when it's cooler, and the sun affects that. So if you block the sun, then you can get winds, or apparently now lack of winds or new direction winds. But yeah, in my old timeline, the eclipse was too short. It didn't have enough time to do anything. U.S. searched the way to repay loan to Russia, so they found a way to buying Alaska. Repay loan to Russia. Wait, why would buying Alaska... Anyway, I don't remember any loan to Russia. Yeah, that whole thing, the whole history is just weird now. I don't remember Russia having anything to do with the establishment of the North America. All right. So anyway, that one. All right, here's another one. All right, you guys have heard of the Taos hum. Well, the hums have been slowly spreading. First it was Taos hum. They're pretty much all over the place now. There's hum places everywhere. Mysterious hum driving people crazy around the world. So now we've got a whole bunch of spots that have it. We've got Taos, that's the original. New Mexico, Bristol, England, and Largs, Scotland. Now they've got a percentage of people who hear the hum, or like a few percent. They're called hummers. Most are ages 55 to 70, according to a 2003 study. People describe the hum as sounding like a diesel engine. So anyways, a lot more humming going on. I don't know if any of you guys can hear it. I don't really hear that which they say, although I have a few times been out, way out in the desert and kind of heard something. I wouldn't say it sounded like a diesel engine though, but a weird kind of a hum in the air, a vibration. All right, so that's that one. I actually should check this history of Taos hum while I'm at it. Because the hum was not there when I was a kid. Ah, Windsor, Ontario. When did the hum actually start in this timeline? Now I'm kind of curious. Because it definitely started in my life after, you know, it started maybe when I was about 20 or something. History of the hum. Yeah, I can't find any dates for it. That's interesting. I wonder if that one's going to be shifting since there's no dates. And there should be a time when they first saw it. Facts, legend. Grabbed worldwide attention. Look, there's no dates on this. Interesting. Ah, 1993, the citizens of Taos who suffered, and even those who did not suffer, decided to put forward an investigative petition. Okay, so now in 93 is when they put forward the petition, but no word on when it actually started. Wow, no word on when it starts. Interesting. I suspect that one's going to go back in time then. You're going to hear it started in the 40s or something like that. All right, let's see. Who came out with this one? This one's from Callie Coca, who is a commentator on my channel fairly often. So apparently they're finding nanoparticles of gold inside plants. So they're talking about planting plants in gold-rich areas and then having the plants uptake the gold, and then they will harvest the nanoparticles from the plants. And they're saying that gold in nanoparticle form is worth more than gold in normal form. So it has all these uses and stuff. Discovering gold-bearing nanoparticles in natural plant tissues is of great significance and allows new possibilities to clean up areas contaminated with nanoparticles and also to enrich gold nanoparticles using plants. So weird. They were talking about nanoparticles of diamond and flame last week, and now it's nanoparticles of gold in plants. I don't know. So all the precious stuff is showing up everywhere. All right, we're getting down to the end of it. This one looks like I've already gone over 2 hours. Well, see if I can spell that right. No, I can't. Hijr archaeological site. All right, this one's a new one for me. I have not heard of this hijr archaeological site. It seems like we're getting a lot more of these very pretty constructions built into the rock. And I've never seen this one before. It looks like a lot like some of the other ones that we've seen on other locations, but this one's a totally new one for me. Look at that one. That one's really cool. So I just want to bring this one up as a new one for me. We're seeing so many beautiful stone buildings now built down into the earth. There's a lot of them now that They built them straight down, like they dug out the rock in a hole, and there's like a hole with a big building in it. Those are also really neat. Look at that, just beautiful. So this is supposed to be a World Heritage Site and all that, blah, blah. There's so many of those in this timeline. Look at that, an eagle. Anyway, so I wanted to bring that one up. It's just really cool. This one's a totally big fat ME for me. This one, I think, will go contrary to what a lot of you have learned. Ran into this one, and it's weird. So I think you've all heard that we thought the Earth was flat until recently, when we had better math skills. But now, even in the Middle Ages, people didn't think the Earth was flat. So that's a new storyline for me. With extraordinarily few exceptions, no educated person in the history of Western civilization from the 3rd century before Christ onward believed that the Earth was flat, historian Jeffrey Burton Russell wrote in 1997. A round Earth appears at least as early as the 6th century BC with Pythagoras, who was followed by Aristotle, Euclid, and Aristarchus. Among others, in observing the Earth was a sphere. The sphericity of the Earth was accepted by all educated Greeks and Romans. That is completely obvious, opposite of anything that I had previously heard. I think we can turn that off. So very weird for me that we totally heard that they thought the Earth was flat until they got pretty good math and they could calculate. So just weird, 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 weird. I really like the new rock buildings. I hope it continues, and more giant statues. Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more of that. When I asked my friend about HK, she initially said it was an island, then she said maybe a peninsula, then she said it's part of the mainland. Well, Hong Kong's not an island anymore? Are you serious? Wait, Hong Kong is not... Are you telling me Hong Kong's not an island? Oh, Hong Kong Island is an island in the south part of... Seriously? Hong Kong. Nuh-uh. Oh my God. Yeah, Hong Kong was an island for me. Wow. It's not an island anymore. Costa Rica and Hong Kong are not islands anymore. Wow. Yes. Yes. Okay. I don't... Did anybody cover that one yet? Hong Kong Island. Am I behind the 8 ball on that one? Now I'm curious if that's been covered. Oh, I don't know how I could have missed that. Hong Kong Fui School. Where I... Oh, it's an old one on Reddit. That's actually before I knew of the Mandela Effect, so... I'm surprised I haven't heard one... I haven't heard boo about that one. It is about a year before I heard of the Mandela Effect, but since I'm on Redcon, they usually, these Mandela Effects usually get constantly brought up again and again, especially if they're popular. Okay, well, that's a new one for me. Yeah, Hong Kong was an island. That's why they fled to it. It was an island. They kind of had a little bit of protection. When I asked my friend about, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, Hong Kong was an island. Yeah, Hong Kong was an island the UK owned. And then they had to give it up because they had been leasing it. Now, I do remember there was an ME about when the lease expired. That's the only ME I remember. I don't remember anything about it not being an island anymore. Yeah, weird. No, that was an island. When they had the handover, I actually studied up on it a little bit. Mark, gotta go. Thanks again. I will see you next week. Went there a few years back on the way to Australia. It was an island. Yes, it was an island. What a trip. Okay. That's a big ME for me. Wow. All right, so I thought that I always learned that they thought that the earth was flat until recently. So the fact they're saying the reverse, it's an interesting kind of a hat tip to the flat earthers too. All right. I think I'm getting down to the end. There's only one left that I'm going to cover. And this one I kind of do want to cover and I kind of don't want to cover. This one was discovered by Mandela Affected. And he was talking about changes in the nose. And very specifically, he was talking about how he can move his nose differently now. And this was in his live stream. And he kind of showed it, and I wasn't sure what he meant, but basically, I used to be able to kind of flare my nostrils. Now I really can't do it very well. But if I move those muscles that kind of feel like I'm flaring in my nostrils, I can actually pull in my nose onto my face more. And I never was able to do that before. So I'm basically doing something kind of like a rabbit, where I'm kind of pushing my nose in and out. And I'm going to demonstrate it, even though it's kind of embarrassing. And hopefully you can see this. But basically, I have to get close. I'm doing it now. I'm going to turn my head so you can see it better. Turn my head that way. So I'm basically kind of twitching my nose in and out. I couldn't do that before. I don't know if you guys ever did that before. It's kind of, once you kind of figure out how to do it, it's kind of like you flare your nostrils. That's what it feels like I'm doing. It feels like I'm flaring my nostrils. But when I look in the mirror, I see that my whole nose is going in and out. So it's weird. I feel like I'm being a rabbit or something. Thailand has changed, not the same as my old timeline. I don't know if I remember how Thailand really looked. Thailand map. Oop. Looks like my channel's getting really slow. Yeah, there's something funky going on with my with Google. My Google's giving me crap. Usually at 2 o'clock in the morning, I have really good signal, really good internet, because everybody else is sleeping around here. There's really almost nobody up at 2:30 in the morning trying to use Google. This is a new problem for me. Usually the whole computer just freezes up. My internet has been a little erratic today, so that might be it. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's weird if my internet's bad, but yet my streaming signal is still good. Haha, not an island. QB, it was an island for me. It was totally an island. So now now Hong Kong has an island called Hong Kong Island, but it is not an island itself. It just has an island. The heck, why is my Google not working? I can't even get Google to load. Let me see if I can get Yahoo to load. Look at that. Yahoo comes right up, but Google.com has... there. Okay. So what? I have to do Yahoo first and then Google will come up? That's weird. All right, so let's do the Thailand thing. Thailand. Taiwan. Okay. Yeah, okay. It has a weird shape now. That's true. That whole area has changed quite a bit. I'm not a super expert on that region, though, so I can't comment too much on that. UFO Buddha temple. Yeah, that one's kind of a newish temple. So I guess the argument can be made that maybe we just didn't know about it until now. But I'm pretty suspicious of that. And, you know, that was a lot of people were pretty shocked about it. That's a big temple, too. It's really a big temple. I can't flare my nose. That is so weird. Yeah, you just suck in your nose now. I can't flare it. It just sucks it. I could actually just kind of twitch the edges of my nose a bit. But the muscle that used to do that, at least the signal from my brain that used to do that, now just pulls my nose in. My computer internet often goes down late at night. Yeah, you know, this is the first live stream where I've had that problem. Sometimes my whole computer freezes up, but this is the first time I've been getting that insecure access warning. The nose bone keeps growing. That's right, Richard. When I first saw that ME, I could actually feel right about here where the end of the bone was, and I could feel where my finger would suddenly drop off. But now it's pretty far down. I think maybe right about there. I can't feel a sudden drop off right here like I did when it first came. So I could actually feel it right here when I first started getting that bone, but now I cannot feel the edge of it anymore. Thailand, the whole area's coast wasn't drooped down that far, so the coast is already way off. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Almost every country I know about that I knew well enough to really know the changes has changed, and in many cases quite drastically. So I can only assume that the other countries have done the same. My internet has been effed up for about a month. It's supposed to be okay according to the company. No matter where I go, it's effed up. Yeah, Evie, I think it is. When things are shifty, my internet is also not that great. So that might be part of it, because I have two separate internet systems, one at home and one at work. They have different ISPs, there's different computers. But when one's acting up, I'll go to work and the other one will act up. I mean, they all act up together. So, I mean, I guess an argument could be made that the internet to the entire city is messed up, but it seems a little fishy to me. You know, one of mine is DirecTV and the other is Cox. So one is a landline and one is, well, actually, I think my DirecTV goes through a landline also, come to think of it. Try searching using DuckDuckGo. They use Google, Yahoo. Do not track users. Yeah, I'm just lazy, I guess. I just don't worry about the tracking anymore. I just assume everybody's tracked all the time. Even the ones that say they don't track you, I'm sure that if Google does it, they all track you. Cambodia was above Thailand. It all switched around. You know what? That I totally believe you. I just did not know that area. I've seen so many weird changes in Europe. It just makes my head spin. All right, anyway, it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. I'll take a quick gander on here, but nanoparticles. Yeah, I think that's everything for today. So thank you for coming. It's getting late. I think it's time for me to sign off. Hong Kong was an island. My friend used to fly there to do shopping. Yeah, it probably still has good shopping centers anyway. So anyway, thank you all for coming, and I am going to stop the streaming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.